Carl and everybody else. I've summoned you here. I hope you don't mind. I summoned you as a friend. I've been doing some research here recently, but my research actually started in 1989 when City of Abilene came to my house and ordered my then pregnant wife and me off our property. They bulldozed my two new homes, my business that had thousands of birds. All that kind of stuff took place. I got a little PTSD from that, which I'm certified. The courts know this. I've been in and out of them ever since 1989. And of course they had the wrong address in the demolition order. So I ended up billing the city and they brought me in with fraud. Had 10 city attorneys or their office workers, employees of the city, and I did this myself pro se. I had billed the city. I actually own the city of Abilene through notarial protest that was successful, and that's why they brought in the matter to their courts. But I just want to let you know I do own the city of Abilene. Several of the plaintiffs ended up resigning. There was one time I had the assistant city attorney on the witness stand, and well, I got her with some aggravated perjury, so I asked the bailiff to go ahead and arrest her, put her in jail, and he's like, So I kind of looked at the judge and I said, Your Honor, I move you to move your bailiff to have this here woman that's committed aggravated perjury right here in your courtroom in front of our Creator and everybody. And I asked that you have that bailiff moved to take that woman down to, and he just sat there. Everybody's jaw was on the floor. It was a hell of a mess, I'm sure, for maintenance when they came through to do cleanup. But I've been in the courts, you know, I've been speaking legalese for so many years, got me nowhere. Now, I actually did help lots of people get off offenses that were filed against them over the years, but for myself, it's a totally different situation. Now, what I did summon you here for today is something that most people, even you, haven't looked at, and that's forgiveness, Carl. You know what I mean? And everybody else out there, whoever you are, Bill, John, George, Jane, Mary, Alice, I'm telling y'all, you have overlooked forgiveness. So please indulge me. I got on the internet and I did a little research before I was in court this last 14th of July 2016. The judge, I ended up having to charge him for orders. He gave me 32 orders within about 13 minutes time, I believe it was, to shut up! Shut up! 32 times he gave me these orders, and I charged him $25 per order. But I had also put in there as a clause that for any public servant, you know, court official, court employee, whatever, if they wanted to infringe or interfere with my case at all, not do what I required of them to do to get the matter handled, and it was an emergency matter. My ex, I fondly refer to her as Satan, she had withheld my property from me July 1st. I was supposed to get them for 30 consecutive days. Today's the 14th of July, and you don't hear my property tearing up my other property, so she deprived me of them, and she wrote me on the 1st of July that you're not going to get, you know, your boys for the July break, and she confirmed that in another email and then sent me a certified letter to top it off where she confirmed that she wasn't going to follow the court orders that she had against me. So basically what I did was I filed a claim against her negligence and contempt of the court order and such. And I filed it on July 5th, but the judge wasn't going to be in until the 14th. So that's when I went back. I amended everything I had set up for the 7th, hoping I'd be able to get in. I filed the original with the district clerk, told her to inform the judge, wrote out a motion for her, the things to do, to let him know I was going to be there and expected to get my property back. And of course, anyone that interfered or whatever, $1 per second. Right now, the judge is accruing quite a debt because after his little ordeal in the courtroom, and I'm well known around here, he wouldn't even let me get on the record. I asked him to, I asked him if it was a court of record, and he says, well, yes, of course it is. I said, then I do require that I be, put under oath, that I might be able to offer testimony. Oh, no, shut up. I said, shut up. I said, okay, I would like to make the record. I need to be sworn in. Shut up, you're not getting on my record. Then he found out I had sent my response to another matter that I'm being sued over, kind of, but I flipped the flop the scale there. But I had sent my response to the attorney, and he chewed me out twice for sending anything, because I'm not supposed to send anything to his attorneys. And he says this out loud, but he was rather possessed at the moment, I'll say. He was full of things and he just couldn't control the spirits. But anyway, he ended up with a debt that he now owes me, $1 per second taken off, and I'm willing to forgive him for, the orders of the shut-ups. He gave 32 of those. I only charged $25 per order. Came out to $800, and then of course the extortion with the men and his guns and him allowing it, the bar retreat practice and everything, not to allow me any address whatsoever. He only ran through the preliminary process a little bit to make it look as though he gave a hearing, but in the last 32 shut-ups, within about 13 minutes time tops, and a lot of that time I was shut up while he was looking at things. In fact, the clerk didn't even file what I had filed into the record, so I gave him my copies that I had file stamped. And at the end of the thing, the bailiff tries ushering me out of the court without my papers so that nothing would be there in the record, see? And I did, let him know that I wasn't about to leave the courtroom without my papers. I'm supposed to be secured in my papers. You're not trying to order me away from my papers. They're very expensive now, are you? And he did touch me later, and that's aggravated assault and all that. But the judge has been properly billed, and I sent it off registered mail here yesterday. Today's the 18th. He should have it today from what they stated. And of course, we did get the postal stamp there. Lady knew what I was talking about. Pop. She got his copies and mine as well. And now he's got a great debt going because it started from July 5th when I filed the original papers as instructed. Everything is right there. So I know you're wondering, well, what the hell is this guy trying to tell me? I'm telling you to forgive. I mean, though he owes me over $1 million right now, $1,134,800 and some odd dollars at midnight tonight is what the total accrued amount's going to be. And I want to forgive him for $64,000 right away. All he's got to do is tell me to do so. Okay? And let me read a couple things here that I got off the internet. One's from educatedrisk.com. Natural tobacco, in case anybody's wondering. This here I got off the internet. I just printed it up. It's things that I was using before I started this campaign, which took a couple weeks, like I say, to set the game up, and the judge lost. That's all there is to it. But this is Educated Risk, Student Loan Analysis and Research, Taxation of Canceled or Discharged Debt. One little known aspect of the tax code. And of course, yes, I know your mom worked for the tax collectors there, and you may be familiar with this, but there's a lot of other people I'm hoping will look at this and start to take this country back over by forgiveness, man. We got to forgive. And when you see this and the punchline, you'll love me, man. Regardless how poor I am, I'm wearing my best clothes, of course, for you because you're my honored guest. So it says, one little known aspect of the tax code is any debt canceled by a lender is considered taxable income for the year it is canceled. This applies to all forms of canceled debt, even student loans. This can become as a rude awakening to some who are counting on cancellation of debt from income-based repayment or pay-as-you-earn programs. Even stranger, borrower's debt is taxable income if it is discharged because of disability or death. So if you become disabled, man, and you got a debt and you can't work anymore or whatever, and they end up discharging that, well, guess what? That if they discharge $100,000 to you, man, you know, that's put on your taxable income from what they're saying. So if you only made $20,000 that year, well, guess what? You made $120,000. If a lender or the government cancels your debt, then you should receive a 1099-C form from them. This is taxable income for the year it is canceled. I know this seems a little illogical, but there are sound public policy rationales for this approach to canceled debt. Think about it. If you had $100,000 of debt canceled, you have basically received a $100,000 windfall. Smarter people than us figured out how to abuse this in the past so the IRS made cancellation of debt count as taxable income. Let's walk through a worst-case doomsday scenario. Let's say, for example, you have $200,000 in student loan debt, and the interest accruing each year is roughly $14,000. You're on an income-based repayment, 15% of income, or pay as you earn, 10% of income. So you only pay around $10,000 a year in payments. After 20 years or 25 for IBR, you have a total loan balance of, this is a made-up figure he has, your $250,000 left on your student loan debt. ED, whatever that is, I'm not sure. But ED graciously cancels all of your debt. Education Department, that's must what be. Education Department graciously cancels all of your debt and then sends you a 1099-C form for $250,000 for that year. 25 years from now, you earn $40,000. You have $290,000 in taxable income and are required under the threat of IRS, not ED, to pay roughly $80,000 in taxes that year. But you only earned $40,000 actually, but then you had received that $250,000 debt forgiveness. Clicking in yet? This is in love, man. I want to cancel the debt of, $64,000 for the judge almost immediately here. I want to do so because I don't know if he's going to want to pay the million something plus $1 per second. It's still accruing right now because he hasn't, as you see, my property hasn't been returned to me as I required. Anyway, he's got a little scale here where it shows $40,000 earned, $250,000 given, taxable income then becomes $290,000, and the amount owed in taxes is $80,000 instead of what would have normally been for the $40,000. So it's pretty scary, right? Most this tooth here was taken by Satan the devil, one of her servants when I got out of the military years ago, and according to the law that I live by, that which rules me, if you have a servant and you knock out his tooth, man, or break a bone, you're to set him free. Well, Satan is to set me free, and I've got emancipation papers in the court, which is a separate contract with the judge that if he doesn't sign as I require, then of course, you know, the same thing applies, $1 per second back when I first filed it, and I want to forgive him for that too. I mean, he's just standing outside of his umbrella of immunities, and it's just a little rain coming down on him from an avenue he didn't even expect. Weather forecast didn't say a damn thing. But here I am. Alright. Pretty scary, right? Most borrowers would have to make plans to pay that tax bills years ahead of time to make sure the IRS doesn't garnish wages or place liens on their property. And I hope that doesn't occur to anybody. In fact, they should pay me the money instead of having these things, from the IRS come. I mean, he owes me the money. But if you don't want to pay me the money, I'm not going to go collecting from this guy. It's too much involved with going out to collect, especially with those who own the county, own all their district clerks and county clerk. He owns the whole thing, so they think. But I'm getting a little piece of my pie, and I'm giving him the forgiveness. I forgave him many times before for the times he shot me in jail, but I don't think that he recognizes it. I think my forgiveness has excited him to do worse against me, and I just want to help him, guide him in his way, and forgive him. He's got over $1 million I can forgive him for, but it's still accruing. Now this one here came from lawyers.com, LAWYERS.com. I'm only speaking this. I know they probably got copyright or whatever, but this is educational purposes. I got it from the web while I was researching. I'm passing it on. If you want to come after me for copyright things, just step in line. There's plenty that's already trying different avenues and having little success. But if you do, all power be to you. Anyway, this says discharged or forgiven debt income. When figuring out your income taxes, you start with your gross income. Yeah, makes sense. Then you make adjustments to this number to come up with the taxable income. So the key to what you may owe or get refunded is your gross income. Usually if a debt you owe is canceled or forgiven by the person you owe, the amount forgiven is gross income to you. There are many sources for discharge of indebtedness income, and some exceptions to the rule that it's gross income, and gross income defined. The IRS defines gross income as all income from whatever source derived, in other words, any additions to your wealth. The IRS definition specifically mentions income from discharge or indebtedness. That's when a debt is canceled or forgiven, or if a creditor takes less than the full amount of what you owe and lets you off the hook for the rest. Basically, the amount of gross income is the amount forgiven. The difference between the amount owed and the amount you actually paid. Is it income? As a general rule, you must have a true debt to have income from discharge of indebtedness, and I do believe sending a itemized billing through the registered mail, all that, I do believe that invokes it to be a true debt. This means there's an unconditional and legally enforceable obligation to repay the money. Say you get a loan or a line of credit, it's not included in your gross income because you're not really increasing your wealth. You have to pay it back. If you don't have to pay it back, then your wealth increases and income taxes may be triggered on what you didn't have to repay. Being relieved of your obligation to repay a debt triggers the income tax, but there are some exceptions. Alright, well with that out the way, I just wanted to tell you, Carl, I want to tell all you people out there, stop trying to collect on these fellows. Show mercy, man. These judges work hard for the money. Just the same as those ladies that it was saying about, the judges do about the same thing. They prostitute themselves to the gods and their Masonic temples that are entitled whatever court of whatever county. They're all Masonic lodges where they all worship Baphomet. And when I walk into a court, usually the demons will scramble, but these ones were exceptionally strong or summoned, I guess I could say, by certain other individuals, I guess. But they were prevalent in the court. Now, I did acquire a debt from one that owes because of the damages that he caused me by not allowing me to be made whole. He harmed me instead. He damaged me. He injured me terribly. I'm still right now sitting before you without my property, though I was supposed to have them for 30 days. 18 of those days are gone by. I haven't even got weekend visitation or anything. Oh, I've got letters from attorneys coming in that it appears that I've rattled my sword a little bit louder this time, and things are starting to quake. So if you don't see me again, I've given instruction to others that in the event that the judge, by his own hand or in the hands of agents known or unknown to me, that I come to an early demise, say they kick my face half off and I'm in a vegetative state. Can't report them if I don't know what they look like. Can't charge them either. Or say I get disappeared or suicided, put in jail or prison. My house burns down suspiciously or unsuspiciously because you never know who's in on the things. I've had fire investigators not even do investigations when I've had fires. So it's kind of hard to say, but any kind of malicious thing takes place with me. I've already signed in my registered mailing to the judge that I should be his top priority. My health and well-being should be on the top of his to-do list. See, I've got several people that I've turned over power. It ain't power of attorney because I'm above all that stuff. Even the common law, Carl, it's getting so bad there, man, because right now common law is that some faggot can go into the bathroom with my daughters and whip out his stuff, man. You know, and I'm not part of that society anymore. I had to come out, and that's becoming part of common law now, because if it's common among the people, acceptable among the people, then it's part of common law. I go with the ecclesiastical jurisdiction aspect, but any problems come up with me, man, you know, they have full authority to go ahead in my stead and forgive the judge fully. But then, since I'm not going to be alive, or whatever, if I'm not there to be made whole again, then they will continue or further in allowing the dollar per second to keep accruing, and every time it gets up to $1 million or so, they'll send in on for my behalf to forgive the judge for whatever he did to me. And I ain't scared, man. I put in where the judge, if he could prove certain things like the fraud with the address that they used against me, 600 Virgil Street, on the demolition order. They brought a suit against me under that. It's a fairy tale address, never existed. And I brought out in transcripts, there's a certain set of transcripts I do have. I filed them in the court for my emancipation papers to show that even though I speak, you know, legalese and all this kind of stuff, I'm still not of that society. I only use the language to get along the same way I do my driver's license and such. Hey, I'm over here, man. Okay, but anyway, with the emancipation papers, I have that transcript filed, and the heading of it is what I put in for my motion, and it is a challenge of jurisdiction to show partiality toward known felons. Okay, so that's the stuff I did back in 2007. Here we are. It's been since then. I own the city of Abilene. They don't quite understand it yet. It's filed right in the record where they put it in there. It was fully protested by a notary public. Everything was done. It's that thick, my billing, and it's owned by me. And yet, right now, I think they're going to start waking up with this forgiveness that's going to take place, especially if they cause me harm or kill me, suicide me, because I'm not going to commit suicide. It's against my way of life. It's against my faith. But if something does occur, then these individuals have the right, severally, individually, however they want to do it, they can send in a 1099 for me because this is a living well and testimony right here that's going on with this camera, Carl. You're one of them too. In case they die, please send in a 1099 form every time that the bill accrues to $1 million to the Internal Revenue Service for the full forgiveness that this man, this judge, deserves. He's been honorable in what he's been doing for Baphomet, for Osiris, and these other gods that he dedicates himself to and his courtroom to. And the next time I go into that Masonic Lodge, I think things are going to be a whole lot different. There's going to be a whole different light if I'm allowed to breathe past today. Like I say, the judge should have got his registered mail today. I think I heard a scream coming in from Abilene. I'm not certain, but it may have been. So, consider what I said, Carl. Have the people out there do some research. Think about it. We can start having courtrooms, you know, and we can get us some panels, a 12-member body with plenty of people on hold, you know, in case we do need them. And all I believe we need to have is like Skype. Have a computer set up there for each one of the individuals that's on that jury. And we can go most any place and take care of these things as long as we got a transcriptionist and, you know, some public official that has the powers to become a referee for these matters. Consider these things, will you? And don't forget, man, forgive them judges. Forgive your attorneys, man. Don't go collecting against them. Why waste all that time when you can forgive them properly? But again, if they'll do as you require them to do and the wishes that you have are fulfilled, then you can forgive them in a different way by pretending it never existed. IRS doesn't have to know about everything, do they? Only that which you believe is true and right for you to report is what you have to report. That's right. Otherwise, they don't like it, they'll bring you into court. Till then, peace.